to the latest Forever Blue podcast. I'm Ian Cheeseman. I'm the host, of course, and I will introduce you to my guests in just a moment. But first of all, I just want to say a big thank you to DSW, who are a training and assessment company who are based in Doncaster. And although they might not be in the Manchester area, the CEO, the man who runs the place, is called Patrick, and he is a big, big City fan and a big supporter of the work that I do, which I'm very grateful for. So thanks very much to Patrick. Look up DSW if you have any training and assessment needs, because they will do it for you, and they're very, very good at what they do. So DSW, just Google them and you'll see them. Anyway, let me introduce you to my guests. And by the way, we're recording this on the Saturday evening after City's 3-0 home victory against Sunderland, and ahead, of course, for a trip to Real Madrid. We'll talk all about that. So first up, my star guest today is former City player Lee Crooks, who I have to introduce, Lee, as a proper hero in every sense. First of all, I have to say, Lee,
Mm.
that you know that I wrote Colin Bell's autobiography with him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Colin Bell spoke so highly of you when he coached you. In fact, he's probably spoke more highly of you than any other player, which is
Mm.
quite a compliment coming from the King.
It's a massive compliment from Colin. Yeah, yeah, it is.
And of course, you've been in the armed forces, and so you're a hero to all of us in that sense as well. So thanks very much, Lee, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, we've got the regular Annabelle, and we've got somebody who isn't on generally, but he is a City fan. I sit quite near him actually in the stadium, and he does quite a lot of work to try and help me in terms of editing and things like that. So, a big shout out to Michael. And one of the reasons Michael particularly is on this one is because a little bit later on in this podcast, he's going to be revealing a way that you can win a special watch, and a very good quality watch, by the way. So all that's to come a little bit later on. So obviously, if you're watching on video or audio, you can pause it and you can write stuff down. So I urge you to do that when the time comes. But we're going to start by talking about the game this afternoon. Now, I know that Annabelle, you're down on the south coast and you haven't been at the game today. I don't know. You can. Did you see the game? Have you been able to watch it somehow?
Yeah, I managed to watch it, so
We'll not
I
ask you
don't
how. We'll not
know.
ask you how.
No, we'll leave that under wraps for now.
Michael was at the game, so I know you've seen it. What about you, Lee? Have you had the chance to digest the
No,
game?
not today. No, I've been with my daughters. They've been grading at kickboxing today, so unfortunately, no, I haven't seen the game, but I've seen the result, which is a great result, and obviously to go with it, a clean sheet. So yeah, good day at the
Did you get
office.
a chance to watch the Fulham game in midweek?
Uh, no, didn't. No, again, daughters busy. She's footballing at Sheffield United, so I'm busy with her.
Is she going to be good then?
She's doing all right. Yeah, she's been there a year and a half now in the academy down there. So yeah, she seems to be enjoying it. So yeah, you never know.
Following in Dad's footsteps, eh?
Oh, she's a little bit better than me.
Now, you have seen City. I've seen you at the Etihad Stadium.
Yeah,
And you know that City have conceded a lot of goals until today in recent games, with that game against Fulham and then Leeds, even
yeah.
Newcastle, of course, 2 goals conceded. What do you make of the dynamics? I'll declare at the moment, I look at City's team as brilliant as they were today against Sunderland, and think it's a team that's built to attack, and it's phenomenal going forward. But when they're on the back foot a little bit, they look vulnerable because there's too many players in that team that are purely attack minded. Am I
Yeah.
right? How do you
No,
see
I
it?
totally agree with you. And yeah, I think you're right. You're totally right. I think I know. Even today when I listen to the result and they've gone 2 up, I always feel that teams can maybe get back into it. Obviously, with Leeds last week, same thing, 2-0 up at half time. But I always think when we go 2-0 up, I always feel a little bit vulnerable that we are going to still concede, So, like I said earlier today, when I heard the result, 3-0 and a clean sheet, Pep's got to be taking something away from that today with a clean sheet. It's massive.
Obviously, I saw every minute of every game you played, Lee, but for those who
Mm.
don't know your career, tell me where you would consider you played, because I thought you were a pretty versatile player.
Yeah, I was versatile, but that were only until, you talked about Colin Bell earlier. Obviously, me coming through the School of Excellence there and stuff like that. Colin had a massive part to play in all that because he always used to say to me, look, if you can go play in different positions, from midfield. I went to right back and I went centre back. And it was Colin's advice that told me to do that. He just said I'd be more of an asset to a manager. And he was right all the way through my career. I ended up playing more games through there. If lads were injured, I could step in and play that position. But I think in the first team that you're seeing now, you've got the left back O'Reilly. That's proof that you've seen him come through the academy in a certain position. All of a sudden, here he's making a career at left back. So, possibility of going to a World Cup and being the number one left back for England. So, I think, being versatile, I think it does keep your options open for the manager.
And you can say the same about Nunes, can't you, on the other side? I mean, he is seen as a midfielder and he's
Yeah,
been converted into a right back. Is that a
yeah,
good? I mean, you'll be old enough to remember Ray Kennedy when he went to
yeah,
the Liverpool from
yeah,
Arsenal. He'd been a
yeah,
striker at Arsenal and went to
yeah,
Liverpool.
yeah.
Is that a big plus that when you convert a player that they then see the game differently?
Yeah, I think once you've played in midfield and you're being used to playing in there, and you've got a lot of things around you, a lot of bodies around you. You've got to be really aware of what's around you, and then you drop a little bit deeper. Everything's in front of you, so you see the game a lot easier, and you can read things a little bit. So when you see these lads like O'Reilly, and then you've got Nunes, they fit into fullback. They're pretty comfortable on it. Probably on the defensive side when they get 1v1, it might be a challenge, but you know, the way Pep's team set up, they're all very comfortable on the football. So yeah, these lads that are coming out of midfield into right back, into left back, even into centre back. You've seen John Stones is an out and out footballer over his time at City, being at centre half, stepped in to midfield. And especially in that Champions League season, absolutely fantastic in there. So yeah, I do think these lads that do play midfield, it is easier for them to move back.
Johan Cruyff, who was his great mentor, talked about total football, and that
Yeah,
was a brilliant type of football. And of course, he brought in Edison,
yeah,
and although he's gone now, Edison, he was a
yeah.
midfielder playing in goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he was. Yeah, just he was great with his feet, and that's the modern game now. Even I talked about my daughter earlier in the academy. The young goalkeepers now they're comfortable on the football, and they're all trying to play out from the back. You know what I mean? Sometimes I see teams doing it. I'm thinking, why are you doing it? Why are you trying to play it? Because I do think there's only certain teams can do like what City do, and City are doing it at a very top level, but. Yeah, with Edison, absolutely fantastic. He were unbelievable. They set a lot of attacks off, didn't it? So, yeah, it would be a fantastic keeper to see.
Well, you described your journey. You would have been very comfortable, I think, playing in a sort of Pep way of playing out from the back. But I suspect when you were, playing in City's first team, if you'd have tried to do that, you'd got a bit of a rollicking, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I think like with Joe and Willie, and obviously I played a lot of games with Andy at side of me. I think for us as a team, then we would set up 4-4-2. And it's not that Joe didn't want to play football; he just wanted to play football in the right areas. So we were more like, let's go play in their half kind of thing. And then when we got in their half, we'd go and play. I played with good footballers. I had Gerard Vikings could play, Andy Morrison could play. Ian Bishop, unbelievable. I learnt so much from Bish. And then you got like Brownie. We had a lot of good footballers in there. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, for us, it was just about playing in the right areas. I don't think you'd see Andy Morrison and Gerard and myself picking ball up on 6 yard box like, you know what I mean? But yeah, yeah.
What did you make of the game today, Annabelle? I mean, I thought that was a wonderful football game.
Yeah, no, I was really pleased. I thought prior to the match, we talk about Sunderland being a threat and sort of the form that they're in and the threat they've posed different teams. So the fact that, like Lee was saying, we didn't even concede a goal is great to see, especially after, as you say, how poor our defense was arguably in the game against Fulham. But no, I thought it was an all-round really strong performance, and sort of the way we get those goals was smart in terms of that long-range shot from Diaz. I thought particularly because I do think they are a very well-drilled side. And that's part of the reason that they're being so successful. So the fact that sometimes when you've got such a composed and deep team with like a back five, the fact that he took on the shot and obviously a bit of a fortunate deflection, that sort of helped us on our way. And then as we say, like a quick goal comes straight after it, doesn't it, from Guardiola, and that's nice to see. We're actually using set pieces for once because that's something I've always critiqued City on. We get so many set pieces, but we don't necessarily use it to our advantage, which a lot of Premier League teams are doing now, especially Sunderland, and they didn't really offer that threat, which they tend to try to do on set pieces. So no, I was pleased with that. And then obviously building on that, Cherki was unbelievable. I don't think anyone can doubt he was probably player of the match in my mind, even before they announced it, just for how skillful he is. I think he's a joy to watch because a lot of games now, especially wingers, they're kind of inclined to go backwards and not always, oh, sorry, almost knocking over my water, not always creating skills, which is what I love to see. It gets people off their feet, which I'm sure you all were at the ground. So no, I think it was great that he could get that assist, and in such in such incredible fashion as well for Phil. So no, I was very pleased with the way we limited Sunderland, particularly as I say after that Fulham match.
I suspected that City would be a bit tighter defensively
Yeah.
today. They weren't overtly tighter in the
Mm.
sense that they weren't sitting back and not going forward.
Yeah.
But having conceded four at Fulham and two against Leeds, and it could so easily have been five at Fulham and three against Leeds,
Yeah.
I thought they're going to obviously be slightly more cautious.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in the ground, as you know well, because you go to a lot of games, the
Yeah.
emotion can get quite a bit to you as a fan, even as a fan. But I don't know, it might be slightly easy for you to assess this, having watched it on TV. Did you sense that City were playing differently, that they were playing more cautiously, or is that just that Sunderland couldn't break through?
No, I think well, Sunderland's main tactic is to go long a lot of the time because unless they have long spells of possession where they'll then look for their central midfielders like Xhaka to put a pinpoint ball up and then they can sort of go 1v1 with their wingers. They never had a chance to do that because we were so good at being so tenacious at winning the ball back. I think that's kind of we overcompensated of cautiousness where we actually wanted to get the ball back immediately because when you saw Fulham have the ball like they did, it was a real problem in terms of they could then create. So the fact that I think we were almost overcompensating by trying to win that ball, so they did have no chance to go long. And when they did go long, so obviously route one a lot quicker than trying to build up when you barely have any possession. We were so good, I think, in those duels of winning first balls or second balls. So that was kind of where I picked up a difference. Like Fulham, a very different kind of side. It was kind of a mixture of sort of just not defending very well on the edge of the box and them having like a surge in possession, and we just had a real bad dip in their play. I think it's very rare you see those two come together at such a point where it comes to a catastrophic effect of conceding four. But I think it's completely different sort of game with Sunderland where they looked to go long and thankfully they didn't really offer that much of a threat and we could sort of clear it away quite efficiently. But no, I think maybe I wouldn't really say we were cautious. I think it was more just being proactive at ensuring that they didn't have the ball because obviously if they don't have the ball they can't really threaten. And when they did have it, they did have that sort of 10-minute spell, I think, second half where we very much needed the leadership of players like Diaz and Bernardo to kind of get that ball and get that momentum sort of back with us.
I'm pretty sure I've heard you being a bit critical of Bernardo, Michael, at times, but I thought he played really well today. Maybe I'm unfair to put that into your mouth, but I know you're a very emotional spectator because I've seen you not far away from me. How did you view that game today?
Yeah, I thought it was a great performance all around, to be fair. I think yeah, we needed to keep things tight. We needed to make sure that we didn't have the mistakes that were made midweek. And I think for the first 20 minutes or so, it was proving quite difficult to break them down. It was a lot. There was a lot of sidewards, backwards passing, and they just really struggling to find the room until we got that first goal. But yeah, in terms of Bernardo, yeah, I have been fairly critical of him recently. I think he's obviously aging. He's not got the legs that he once had, um, but he does put in a shift. He always does, and I think I've thought for a while really that he's probably a 60-minute player for us currently. And I've quite often questioned why he's been left on the pitch. When he does put in such a shift and he's not got the legs that he once had. But yeah, he was superb today. He was everywhere. And yeah, as I always say, as opinionated as I am, I'm sure Pep knows more than me.
Well, I love him. I've always loved Bernardo. I can't deny that. But I love him because, particularly now, because of the experience that he brings. And when everybody's bombing forward, as I alluded to at the beginning, he is mature enough and experienced enough to. I can't hear him on the pitch, obviously, but I'm sure he must be saying, "Well, just hang on, don't go. Just stay with me." I get the feeling that that must be happening on the pitch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he's very, very cool. He's a leader, and that's why he's captain and one of the captains and the most senior player on the team.
Lee, when you played the game,
Mm.
be honest with us now. When you go out there, are you as a player just thinking about what you're doing and your role, or do you listen to the manager? I'm not saying you didn't listen to the
Mm.
manager. That's not what I'm alluding to. But when they have a philosophy and they're talking
Yeah,
about do this, that, and the other,
yeah.
you just think, well, I'm just going to do my bit here. Do players think that way, or because it's a complex game that Pep plays sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I think when the manager's giving you, he's setting you up, he's setting the team up to play a certain way against a certain opposition, and he wants you to do certain things at certain times. So when a manager's giving you instructions, it's important that you follow these instructions because if you just start freestyling, doing your own thing, and you're just going to get dragged. But like going back to Bernardo days, he's so important to that team because it can dictate the tempo of the game. I watched him against Everton, and he just dictated it, getting on the football. And when things with Pep, when the team gets under pressure, he doesn't look to go along. Let's go squeeze up the park. He puts footballers that are wanting to receive and dictate the tempo of the game with the ball at the feet. So like Cherki and people like that, get them on the ball because it's one of them. If we've got the ball, they ain't going anywhere. And but yeah, they've got certain orders, and when we used to have certain orders off our managers and that, and you've got to stay with them. That's the game plan. Because if it goes wrong, it's on the manager then, isn't it, and not you. So yeah.
In modern parlance now, Phil Foden is being described as a number 10.
Mm,
Now in Europe, I'm going to say my day as well because
yeah,
I grew up watching your era, Lee.
yeah,
It wasn't you just talked about holding midfielders maybe or
yeah, yeah,
left-sided or right, but now it's
yeah,
tens and eights and all the rest of it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Is Phil Foden a 10?
I think he's a 10, yeah. I think he's a 10. I think, I played with King Clancy, Georgie, it just getting in the little pockets, and that's what you wanted. And, if we were doing well and we're dominating possession, you could get George on the ball, then he's going to work teams. And it's the same with Phil. I think in them little pockets, for me, that's his position. You know what I mean? And this year, he seems to be getting his flow back. We all go through times in his career where we find it a bit difficult, and but he's a talent. The lad's a talent, and not only that, I feel like he's been in the game forever. You know what I mean? He's still young. You look at these lads. You've got Ryan Cherki, he's coming, young lad. Haaland, young. Foden, still young. It's unbelievable, really.
When we talk about a 10, is David Silva the blue chip number 10 that City have had? Because he played in that position, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was different class. But that was unbelievable. And but again, Phil's been brought up around these kind of players, hasn't he? He's had years watching him and being around him. On the training pitch, how he handles himself, what he does. And like now with Phil, yeah, I think he's a 10 all day long, mate. Yeah.
He's a local lad, which you are, Michael, as well. So does that give you that extra pride now that we're seeing Phil Foden World Cup? He'll be in the World Cup presumably next summer. Now flying the flag, as it were, for City. He's almost become the talisman, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think very, very much so. And I think that's what we've all wanted from him. He burst onto the scene and, we all felt that he was really something special. And I think a couple of times he's maybe not achieved what we know he's capable of with England and also some of the English fans. But yeah, now that he's back to what was his best, he's in his flow. Yeah, hopefully, really looking forward to the World Cup.
He's got some left foot, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, it's magical. Especially
Absolutely.
when he comes in when he comes in and he opens up and you're just waiting for him to hit that shot, the one that he does over and over and over again in training, and you can see it.
And it's very rare that he mishits one of them shots. I
Yeah,
mean, he's got a short drawback on his foot,
yeah,
so much power into it. I mean, that's got to be natural, hasn't it? Can that be taught, Lee? Can you teach a player that technique?
I think you can practice a lot of stuff, but no, he's just got a natural talent. He's got a gift in it. It's a gift. It's a gift. And even as a young kid, when he was coming through the academy, it was clear to see he had a gift. And I think we sit in and the great job that they're doing in that academy. They're just nurturing these lads to come through. You know what I mean? And it's nice that we are seeing the young lads coming through in it. You know, you've got Nico, Rico, we've had Cole. It's endless, and not only that, but some of the lads that are in that academy are going on to have great careers at other clubs. So, you know, for me, the academy's going to take a lot of plaudits from it. You know what I mean? They've done an unbelievable job, and but like with Phil, yeah, it's natural. It's a gift. It's a gift.
He was in the same team in the academy with Jadon Sancho and Diaz, who went to Real Madrid.
Mm,
And I've got to be honest, when I looked at the three of them, I wasn't sure if which one, if any, would come through. But are you
mm.
more able with your experience to be able to tell that, or is it just a case of what you don't know till they get in the first team?
I think you get to know the personalities and what they're like and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think football's a very small world. You know, people talk, don't they? They get to know the characters of them, and I think with Pep goes a lot deeper than just the footballing ability as well. You know, he looks at the person, he looks what they're going to be like in a changing room. There's an all-round, you know, person that he's looking for, and there's no coincidences what's gone on. You know, like I say, we with Jadon Sancho and others, but you know, like Phil would have won, and there were times when people thought that Phil might have gone out on loan, but no, he stayed and he stayed, and Pep wanted him to stay. He wanted him to learn him, and here he is, and you're getting the rewards for that. So no, I think Pep knew who he wanted and what he wanted.
He's a genius, let's face it.
Oh,
Um,
without a doubt.
I know you watch a lot of women's football, Annabelle, and when you watch play, because what Lee's just said there is spot on, isn't it? That it's not just about ability, it's not just about physique or anything like that. Because when you look at City, there are 11 players who seem to be completely switched on for every minute of the game. So as soon as we get possession, everybody's making a move, everybody's running. There's nobody sort of just coasting. Can you see that I mean, you're a City fan, so clearly, you're going to be a bit more intense on that. But when you watch a neutral game, when you watch one of the women's games, although I'm sure you have allegiances there as well, can you spot the players who are not got that mindset?
Yeah, I think so. I think those players who are sort of leaders and know what needs to be done at what point. And as you say, to always be tenacious. I think in the women's game, midfielders are a massive part of that. And I sort of see that with Brighton. There are particular ones like Maisie Simons, I'm not sure who will be too familiar with her. But in terms of how tenacious she is at always knowing you've got to win that ball back. And as you say, for City, they've always got that same cause. And I think that's what, yeah, whether it's women's or men's football, they want to have this philosophy and everyone has to be a part of that and sort of buy into that. And from reporting on Brighton, I especially see with their women's team, they've all sort of bought into the philosophy. And as you say, that's so integral to making sure everyone's sort of pulling their weight. I mean, we can even see that in today's game, as I said, with everyone trying to win that ball back. As you say, it's just so important to have everyone sort of in on the cause, not ever one moment sort of switching off, which I kind of think sometimes some City fans do question. Like with the Fulham game, I remember my dad was next to me and he was just saying sometimes we are a bit static. It's like, why is no one giving someone an option? And sort of that led to some of our downfalls where we'd not have an option for the player, they'd lose the ball, and then swiftly after Fulham would score. So it's not always, not always are people switched on, but most of the time they need to be. And I'm sure Pep knows, yeah, that they have to be, and he'll drill that into them.
We saw what happened in the Leverkusen game, Michael, and I just wonder whether I don't know whether that'll be the team that plays Brentford or something similar to that in the Carabao Cup. But to me, what that alerted me to, even though it was a mass change, so that may have contributed to it, is that maybe the understudies, which is how I perhaps describe that team that played Leverkusen, let's not call them the second team, let's call them the understudies, at the moment are not at the level of that first team. Does that concern you in any way?
It concerned me the minute the team was announced. I, I felt, and I think most people felt, that we were in for a really tough game. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of people talk about the strength of depth in the squad, and whilst we do have a strong squad, uh, almost entirely that choice of players, none of them would make the first choice team, and I think there is a gulf. I also think it's hard to ask 10 players that aren't playing regularly, that aren't at the top of their game, irrespective of how good they actually are. Because let's face it, to get to the Premier League, to get to the Champions League, they're all good players. But so much of football, I think, is down to confidence.
Yeah.
confidence then allows them to play at their best. And you put 10 players into the team that aren't confident, that aren't playing regularly, that aren't playing together regularly in a match. And I think that was the main difficulty. All of those players can come in and do a job, but collectively it was just far too much to ask of 10 fresh players, in my opinion.
Is that why Lee Pep brings on so many substitutes when we're watching a game? Even today, it happened.
Mm,
When we get to the point where it looks like City have won, and this
mm,
is one of the criticisms at Fulham, that he made a lot of changes and
yeah,
some of the momentum changed. But is the
yeah.
reason he's doing it this obsession with minutes and keeping a player involved?
Yeah, it's definitely minutes because, like you say there, when you're making so many changes, and as a player, I know it's like when you're a player, it's like you're seeing Phil now getting the best out of himself now because he's getting run of games, and as a footballer, you want runs of games, and like you were just saying there, it's hard when you're coming into a team and you make that many changes and you all haven't been playing. It's difficult and you're going into a Champions League game, and Leverkusen and no mugs are there, and it's tough. It's tough going, and like the other night, maybe Pep's one of these as well. He loaded his hands up. Maybe he made too many changes, but it's just the demands of the Champions League, demands of the Premier League. It's a long, long season, and it's tough. But like I said the other night, yeah, maybe too many changes, and it's hard. It's hard.
Just explain to me then what it feels like as a player, in terms of this minutes business, because I'm a little bit skeptical that bringing a player on and saying he's had 10 minutes or, I only want to play him for 80 minutes makes that much of a difference. Does it? You played the game. I haven't.
For me, coming on for 10 minutes, no. You know what I mean? I think it's whether it's tactical or something's happened in the game. There's moments in the game, somebody might get injured. Then, coming on for 10 minutes. I always think the sweet spot for a player is with about 30 minutes to go. You know what I mean? You can get into it, you get into it. But, like with 10, 5 minutes to go, it can be tactical to try and burn them minutes, slow the tempo of the game down. For me, the Leeds United game, Pep, obviously, the keeper went down. That was tactical. Ended up winning the game. Pep Guardiola won that football game. He changed it. Bang. Phil scores. 3-2 win. So it was worth it. And again, just breaking up the patterns and how and that's with Pep. That's just because he's so good at his job and he recognises small things and small details and knowing when to change, knowing when not to change. It's tough going but he's the master at it. He's the master at it. Simple as that.
What from just to answer a couple of questions from your playing days, Lee.
Mm.
What were the moments in your career when you were enjoying football the most?
I think when I came to City as a young lad, I just loved playing football anyway. You know what I mean? But coming through the academy, like my daughter now, she's at Sheffield United. I enjoyed my football, but it's like too serious now. When I see my daughter now, I wanted to enjoy this process and just this time and meeting new friends and more than how I enjoyed it. But then getting the chance up into the first team and and not only that, to play for Man City for me, it's like it's iconic. It's an iconic club, innit? It's a massive club, and all of a sudden you're here and you just round people that you just watch on the telly. The next minute you're playing, it's a bit surreal, and then you're part of it. But obviously, my time at the club there, we went through obviously from Premier League, we went down a couple of leagues, and then we ended up going up a couple of leagues. So, as you know, Ian, it's always been a roller coaster being a Manchester City fan. It's never been easy, and even now, you watch this great team, and it is a great team, and all the teams that we've probably seen since Pep's come in, you still got that. As a City fan, it's still a roller coaster. Fulham game, Leverkusen, Leeds game. Nothing's ever easy, is it? Today, you think, oh, the 2-0 up. It could quite easily be 2-2. You just don't know. That's just been, a fan of the club, really, and I'm on City, yeah.
You clearly are a fan of the club. I can tell from the way that you're speaking. Did you think, as a Yorkshireman, that you would end up being a City fan?
Uh, not really, because like when I was younger, my dad used to take me to watch football. He was always keen on me to go watch football, go to different clubs and watch different games to learn the game. He never took me to just one club. I'd be at Leeds, Barnsley, Huddersfield, Bradford, just watching games. But obviously, like when City came in, I think for me, I fell in love with the club because of how people like Colin Bell, people like Neil McNabb, Willie Donnell was there. You know, they cared for me. It wasn't about the football; it's what they did for me and my family. And you know, like you go back to Colin, he did so much for me. Just not just for me as a person. It were my mum, my dad. Forget about the football. It's just the care that the club give to me, and that's why City's always had a big place in my heart, really, because it's that family club, and that's why I joined City. That's why I went to Manchester City. You know what I mean? And then like I went back a couple of weeks ago. You know, you saw me at the game, the Everton game, and I hadn't been there for about 6 years, but it was like I'd just been in the changing room yesterday. That's just how easy it fit in, you know what I mean? And it's great to see all the lads still there and doing a bit. And yeah, great club.
When City were at the lowest, of course, and the lowest moment, arguably, was losing at York City on the 19th of December 1998, and I was
Yeah.
at that game. Lots of people claim that they were. You played in that game, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
What have you got memories of that game?
I had memories of that couple of years previous, you know, from the Liverpool game in, you know what I mean? When we thought, you know, to stay up in Premier League at that time and then falling down again and then being at York and God, you know, it was just a parachute that was just wide open. And you know, I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know, but I think now, you know, retiring, you look back and you think you don't really. It's only like now in older age that I've realised how bad a situation that club was in at that time. You know, I was just there in the moment, just playing as a young lad, just listening, trying to get on with my career. But when you step back now and you look into it deeper, and there were so many things that were going on, you know, above my pay grade, like, you know what I mean? But it was a difficult time. And, you know, obviously the Gillingham final, you know, if we hadn't gone up that year, God knows what would have happened to that football club, because it was that bad, it was that serious. And, you know, and as I say, rest is history.
Well, after losing at York, the thing started to turn around, and thank goodness for players with the character that you obviously had
Yeah,
to, in the face of adversity and the threat
yeah,
of everything that was going on that you just alluded to, that you
mm,
turned the ship around. So thanks,
yeah.
Lee. Thanks very much for doing that.
No, it's great, but you know, like I go back to you got a lot of lads that have been in that club, you know, actually in it, come through the academy system. You've gone, you know, Edgy, you know, he obviously played, you know, a couple of years previous and done well, but he's still a young lad that came through who I knew when I was at the club. You know, you got myself, you've got Michael Brown, you've got Jim Whitley, you've got Jeff Whitley. You know, these lads have come through that system, and we knew what it meant, you know, for this club, and I think you do feel differently when you've been come through the system, you know, and then you know you get other pros that come in around you, but you know, there's a different feeling when you've come through that system, and I'm sure people like Phil and you know the lads that are in the first team now, they
Nico
feel about
O'Reilly's
that.
another one,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah, yeah. All these lads, they'll feel differently. You know what I mean? Because they've been given opportunity by an unbelievable club to live their dream, and that's a club that's let them live that dream, and that's how I felt.
I've lived my dream just watching you all.
Mm.
But so thank you. Now then, let me bring Michael in at this point with this prize which is on offer. So tell me a little bit what the prize is and how it all works, Michael.
Okay, yes, thank you, Ian. Yeah, so I run a website which is called offcatalogwatches.com, and we have developed and built a watch to commemorate the treble winning season for City. And whilst we might be a little late to the party, as all City fans know, all good things come to those that wait, and we certainly deserved it. So yeah, we've been working on this watch for a long time now, and it's being released next week. It's a limited edition, premium, luxurious watch at what is considered to be affordable pricing. It's about £1,000 per watch. There's only 333 pieces. We have now allocated almost 300 of them, so there's only 33 remaining on open sale. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway competition for anybody that expresses interest in the watch, having listened to or watched this podcast. They'll get a free entry into a prize draw. There will then be bonus entries available. So for things such as subscribing to your channel, they'll get some bonus entries. Following us on Instagram, they'll also get some bonus entries. And we're going to draw the competition on Christmas Eve, and one person will get. We're going to give one watch away. We're then also going to give a second and third prize for £500 off a watch, and then also a £250 voucher towards a watch. So,
How do they do that? How do they enter? What do they have to do?
so all they need to do is literally go to our website, offcatalogwatches.com. They can also access the website through Instagram. There's a page on there for the watch. They'll be able to see photos of the watch, exactly what it's going to look like, the customizations that we've made, the case back engraving. It's got the locations of each of the trophies that were won that season. And all they have to do is register their interest, name, telephone number, and email address. That will automatically get them one entry into the prize draw. And then, like I say, we will be in touch further down the line on how they can get those additional entries as well.
So just give me that address again. Off catalog
Watches.com.
Right. So all lowercase.
All lowercase, all
off.
one word. They can spell catalog the English way, the American way. It all goes to the same place. So yeah, it's off catalogwatches.com.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for sharing that,
No,
Michael.
thank you.
And what we've got left of the podcast, let's look ahead then. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of reflection here because what happened against Leverkusen is it perhaps has the knock-on effect to what now is going to happen next week in Real Madrid. So, Annabelle, City are playing at the Bernabeu. I've been lucky enough to go there a few times. I know that there will be some City fans. In fact, I know there are City fans who've thought, do I really want to go to Madrid, to that stadium again and go behind the goal where the big netting is? I know what it's like in the away end, by the way, because I do go in the away end. There's that netting, there's that, you're right up there. If you're not careful, the police start whizzing that baton around, so you have to be on your best behaviour. So there's a few saying, I'm not going. I'll be there, of course. Are you worried about the Real Madrid game? And obviously the fact that City lost to Leverkusen now, it's a bit more important, that match, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I was hoping Pep would go strong for that Leverkusen game. I thought, that game was sort of there for the taking. But as you say, it just makes the Madrid game and then the next two after that even more important. But no, I am sort of concerned. Obviously, Madrid have so many talents among their ranks. I mean, Mbappe in the last round, I think he scored all four against Olympiacos in what was a crazy 4-3 game. But I think you can sort of take positives from the fact that they did concede three. And they have conceded quite a few goals recently, second in La Liga, which typically they're normally first. So yeah, I think there are a few ways you can probably get at them. I admit I don't watch them often, so I don't know sort of exactly how that will be. But as we sort of alluded to at the beginning of this podcast, City are very much an attacking side this season. So, hopefully we can expect some goals from City as well as from the likes of Mbappe, Vinicius Junior. They've got great players amongst their ranks. Valverde, it's sort of the list is endless. But I always look forward to it. It seems to happen every season, as you say. Some fans are sort of getting bored of travelling over to that stadium for multiple reasons. But I'm hoping they play tomorrow against Celta Vigo. I'm hoping that is, just an extra day. I don't know, as I say, I'm not a player, how much of a difference that really makes to their sort of fitness. But yeah, it's interesting that they've got sort of a day's less rest. But no, I'm looking forward to it. We'll just have to see sort of how it goes. I know they're in mixed kind of form. Last time they lost was a month ago to Liverpool, and that was 1-0. So again, we can kind of take confidence from a team as we see Liverpool not doing too well this season. So yeah, if they can win, I'm hoping that we can try and obviously going away is a lot more difficult to playing at home like they were at Anfield. But yeah, I'm hoping we can try and get a result because it is important. We can't guarantee those next two games after which we should be winning. You can never say never, as we saw with the Leverkusen game. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that one, but it should certainly be an interesting one.
After Madrid in the Champions League, it's Bodo Glimt, and they're northern Norway, above the Arctic Circle. And when Uwe Rosler came on the podcast a few weeks ago, he talked about having taken teams there himself and snow coming in sideways on a plastic pitch, -10 degrees. I mean, it doesn't matter what the team's like. That's
Yeah.
going to be a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds scarier than Madrid. I think we prefer the netting as fans, and yeah, sort of the conditions the players are going to have to contend with. But yeah, I think that's a part of the Champions League. Every game, as you say, is sort of difficult for multiple reasons. If it's not the team on the pitch you're playing, it's the sort of conditions. So no, I think it's important to try and get at least a point, and I think that will also help sort of this consistency we're building in terms of going into another game against Palace, which I think will be another test.
Have you ever played in snowy conditions, Lee, where it's coming in sideways?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I played for England out in the Faroe Islands. Wow. Yeah, it was rough going again on an AstroTurf pitch, just on this little island. Gale force winds. Yeah, it's freezing. Absolutely
Was that in
freezing.
Tórshavn? Because City played out there in Tórshavn in the UEFA Cup a few years ago.
Oh, I can't remember it. It's a long time ago, but it's one of these, isn't it? When you're a player, you, when you go to a country, all you do is stay in an hotel and a football pitch. It's about as far as you go in it. So you go to all these unbelievable places and never get to see them.
I commentated in the Faroe Islands and I was sat on the top deck of a bunk bed in a
Mm,
dormitory because they
yeah,
use it for the academy to train there. So
yeah,
so I got off a plane, went to a ground, got on top of a bunk bed in a
yeah,
dormitory and so I know what it's not quite the same as a play though, is it?
yeah.
Don't get looked after like you do.
Yeah, they have all the grass roofs, don't they, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Madrid, Michael, would you be tempted to go, or do you look at I mean, I know what it's like in these away games. It's not comfortable. Would you go?
I would certainly go. I think it's a challenge. Midweek travel, family responsibilities, and other things like that. But yeah, I mean, for me, you can't beat an away game. I love going anywhere away, and especially in the Champions League. But I am slightly concerned, um, especially with our fullbacks. I know we touched on it earlier, but when you've got Nunes and Nico Riley have done a great job at fullbacks, but my concern is when that isn't your true position and when you've not grown up playing those positions and you come up against top class tricky players, that's when they can come unstuck. Bit like what we saw at Fulham the other night. And that is definitely a little concerning for me coming up this week. But yeah, hopefully clean sheet today and onwards and upwards for a good result midweek.
So just a final question to the three of you, and I'll leave Lee till the end as our special guest. Two games coming up this week, both away from home, and both on paper look tricky games. But we've seen that Arsenal have slipped against Aston Villa. Liverpool only drew 3-3 tonight as we're recording this, at Leeds United. 2 points the gap. Are City now right back in this title race? And how do you see the next couple of games going, Annabelle?
Yeah, I think we're definitely in it. I think it's still crazy to even be talking about a title race this early on, but it's true. We're in December and the games come thick and fast and the months go by. And yeah, mathematically, we're definitely within it. And as you say, we're sort of picking up form, I think, at the right time in such a really
But
good
I'm not asking you, are we in the top?
Yeah,
Mathematically, we are.
yeah, of course.
Do you in
Yeah.
your gut feel now we're right back in it?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. I think we've got the most nous and experience out of everyone to say, yeah, we're definitely in it and sort of, as we see, just see how it goes. But no, I definitely think so. These results were so important to get. And as we said, even in those games, it sort of felt like, were we going to get the results? But we have, and that's ultimately the main thing in those 9 points. And as you say, closing the gap to two. But no, looking at those two games, as I say, Madrid, I think a point would be good. Obviously, I'd love to see a victory, but as we've been saying, it can be a tricky place to go, especially with the pace they have in behind and the different threats they have. But no, I think as long as we can kind of build momentum and put a good performance in, I think that'll help our confidence going into what is a really important game to make sure we stay within that distance of the likes of Villa and Arsenal when we play Palace. But yeah, I know last year I was at the Palace game hoping to be there again this season, and it was a crazy 2-2 game. Rico Lewis scored, but also got sent off, so it can always be a tricky ground to go to with a strong atmosphere at Selhurst. So yeah, I don't know exactly what to expect, but I'm hoping we get the victory there. They've kind of been hit and miss. And again, I think it's the amount of games Palace are playing that's going to hinder them. They've got a game on the Thursday, we play on the Wednesday against Madrid. They're up in Ireland playing Shelbourne. So potentially that might help them help us, not help them in terms of the amount of games that they're having to contend with, which they don't usually do because they're not usually in Europe. So yeah, I think hopefully we get a victory in that game. Not too sure about the Madrid one.
Michael, gut feeling. As I say, statistically, of course, City are in the title race, but they've lost 4 games in the league this season so far. Are City genuinely back in the title race?
Yeah, absolutely. My fear for the season was that Arsenal were going to run away with it, and we'd almost let them do that. Now that other teams have slipped up, and we are so close, everybody talks. So everybody was so quick to write us off, and everybody's so quick to give the title in December to Arsenal. Been there, done it. We've got a strong squad. I know we talked about the limitations before, but yeah, absolutely. We're all we need to be is there or thereabouts, and come strong towards the end. So yeah, always confident.
Lee, the last word to you. I mean, we're talking about Arsenal, we're talking about Liverpool, maybe City, Chelsea. What about Aston Villa? Are they in the title race? And how do you feel about it all?
Villa are definitely in the title race, yeah. Same with City. I think everybody wrote us off. I don't think anybody's expected Villa either. I think the manager there is class. I think he's a great thinking man. You can tell with the team and the team that he's got there, Villa, they are a strong team. I think with us, I think as the more games we have together, you've got Cherki coming in. He's still learning his trade in there and how he wants to play within that team, and he's going to be something special. I really think he is. But I just get that feeling that City's just going to click and things are going to happen. I also think that the keeper that came in, massive signing. Having him in the goal. I think he's an important part. But yeah, I think we're just staying in and around it. There's a lot of football to go in there.
Certainly is. Listen, the three of you have been fantastic guests. Michael, let's hope that people now sign up for the competition and win one of them watches. Annabelle, thanks for your time. Lee, an absolute hero as far as I'm concerned. I've always loved watching you play, and because I was so close to Colin, as I say, I knew how much he thought of you, and which I do as well. So
Yeah.
thanks very
Thanks,
much for
Ian.
your time, and thanks very much
Uh,
for being part of the podcast. We'll do it all again, of course, after the Crystal Palace game. So we'll be recording on the Monday because I'll be going down to Palace and back. Won't get till very late. So we'll be recording a new podcast on the Monday. So in the meantime, have a good week. If you've not already watched the vlog from the game against Sunderland, check it out on YouTube. And in the same way, I'll be out in Madrid. So if you're going to Madrid and you see me knocking about in that square, then come and say hello, or after the game, tell me what you thought of the game, and you can be on my vlog. So thanks everybody. Have a great week. And if you only remember one thing from this podcast, you won't remember anything else, but you remember this. It's great to be a blue. Always.